Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS reminds tax professionals that it's time to renew PTINs. But first, the IRS keeps on telling me that allowing me to keep my money is simply unfathomable. But I can totally fathom it. I do it all the time. I think there's something wrong with their fathomer, and I wish they'd use some of my money to fix it. Is fixing the Fed's flawed fathomer part of the infrastructure bill? The IRS's new spokesman, the Sheriff of Nottingham, answers, no, it is not. IR 2021-207, October 21st, 2021, Washington. The Internal Revenue Service reminds the more than 759,000 federal tax return preparers they must renew their preparer tax identification numbers, the PTINs, the PTINs, now for 2022. All current PTINs will expire December 31st, 2021. Quote, taxpayers are relying on your expertise to help them meet their tax obligations and for some to complete their largest financial transaction for the year. Make sure you're ready by renewing your PTIN now, end quote, said Carol A. Campbell, Director, Return Preparer Office. Anyone who prepares or assists in preparing a federal tax return for compensation must have a valid PTIN from the IRS before preparing returns. The PTIN needs to be included as the identification number on any return filed with the IRS. All enrolled agents must also have a valid PTIN. The fee to renew or obtain a PTIN is $35.95 for 2022. The PTIN fee is non-refundable, and the exact amount must be paid to complete the PTIN process. Tax preparers with a 2021 PTIN should use the online renewal process, which takes about 15 minutes to complete. So make sure you go through the renewal process if you need to renew the PTIN. It's that time of year to do so. Form W-12, there's a link to Form W-12 here, along with the instructions. There's a link to the instructions as well. Provides a paper option for PTIN applications and renewals. However, the paper form can take 4 to 6 weeks to process. So they're trying not to be using the paper forms so much, obviously, so you probably want to do it online if you can. It seems to be the implication here. Failure to have and use a valid PTIN may result in penalties. To renew a PTIN online, you can start at irs.gov/taxpros. There's a link to that here. Select the renew or register button, and there's a link to that here. Enter the user ID and password to log into the online PTIN account. So you got to log in, make sure you get that process done. Follow the prompts to verify information and answer a few questions. Once completed, users will receive confirmation of their PTIN renewal. The online system not only allows PTIN renewal, but can also be used by tax preparers to view a summary of the number of filed returns their PTIN has appeared on in the current year. So you can kind of check the returns that have been filed, which is nice as kind of like an internal control to make sure someone didn't steal your PTIN or something like that. If a bunch of new returns popped up, that would be a bad sign if you hadn't actually completed those returns. It'd be a good sign if you got to do all those returns legitimately and that your business is growing. But if you didn't do them and you got a bunch of returns in there, then internal control check. And receive communications through a secure mailbox from the IRS Return Preparer Office. First-time PTIN applicants can also apply for a PTIN online. To apply for a PTIN online, you can start at irs.gov/taxpros. There's a link to that here. Select the renew or register. There's a link to that here button, or select create account in the new user box. First-time users are issued a temporary password and will be prompted to change their password upon logging in. Once logged in, select the appropriate, quote, PTIN sign up, end quote, option. Follow the prompts to obtain the PTIN online. Opportunity for non-credentialed tax preparers. The annual filing season program, there's a link to that here, is a voluntary IRS program intended to encourage non-credentialed tax return preparers to take continuing education courses to increase their knowledge and improve their filing season readiness. Those who choose to participate must renew their PTIN, complete 18 hours of continuing education from IRS-approved CE providers There's a link to that here. And consent to adhere to specific obligations in Circular 230 by December 31st, 2021. The IRS has a video, there's a link to that video here, available on how to sign the Circular 230 consent and print the record of completion. After completing the steps, the return preparer receives an annual filing season program, record and completion. There's a link to that here from IRS. Program participants are then included in a public directory. There's a link to the public directory of return preparers with credentials and select qualifications on the IRS website. The searchable IRS directory helps taxpayers find preparers in their area and have completed the program or hold professional credentials recognized by the IRS. Enrolled agent credential, there's a link to that here. The enrolled agent credential is an elite certification issued by the IRS to tax professionals who demonstrate special competence in federal tax planning, individual and business tax return preparation, and representation matters. Enrolled agents have unlimited representation rights, allowing them to represent any client before the IRS on any tax matter. So generally, if like the different kind of tiers or different kind of credentials you might have, there's a difference kind of between the tax return preparation and then an enrolled agent can basically then represent possibly the client before an IRS, kind of like a lawyer might do in a court case. For example, if you were to hire a lawyer to go to the court and say, I would like you to basically make decisions or talk on my behalf, in essence, you can have a similar kind of situation where certain people that could be preparing the taxes, possibly including the enrolled agents, who could then help on behalf of the clients with tax matters, getting in essence a power of attorney for that particular task in a similar way as a lawyer could do, or a CPA has that same kind of limited power of attorney access with representation possibly to the government with regards to the taxes in those instances, which can be nice if you get an audit or something like that. As non-credentialed return preparers think about next steps in their professional careers, the IRS encourages them to consider becoming an enrolled agent. All enrolled agents, regardless of whether they prepare returns, must renew their PTIN annually in order to maintain their active status.